Sales philosophies, Kelly, that is the subject of today's short attention span webinar. And we originally started with 5. We had 5 sales philosophies, but because we're givers, we came up with a 6th. So this free short attention span webinar has 20% more information.
20% more of free. That's awesome.
Exactly. Well, you know, it's one of those, there's a sales philosophy, right? Always
yep.
More.
There you go.
So let's get going. This one is one of my faves. This was really the foundation for a lot of the selling that I did, a lot of the training that I do falls to this philosophy, which is solve the problem, earn the order. And what this means, this was from UARCO Business Forums, with a company out from your way, Kelly, in Illinois, that taught us to, you know, not to focus on our product, but to focus on the need of the customer. What are their issues? What are their challenges? You know, Dale Carnegie said, you can get what you want when you figure out what the other guy wants and help him to get that. So we spent a lot of time looking at how a particular piece worked within the system, you know, a business form that we were selling. What problem is it solving? What are their issues? And moving this forward to print, it becomes, I think, the foundation for everything that you and I talk about. Don't you think? We have this conversation a lot about solving problems and earning orders, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's really, again, it's a change in your mindset. It's really believing that, you know, again, rather than just, do you have an order that I can quote on, you're thinking about what challenges do you have and how do I fit into that? How do I bring creativity and insight to the table and become more than just a print rep? I'm a trusted advisor. I'm a consultant. I'm somebody that you go to because you need help with a project. So it's, go ahead.
That rolls beautifully into number 2.
Definitely.
What you just said, right? Because if I'm doing my job with number 1, then I'm really going to prove to myself that I'm a good vendor. And this also comes from my past. In my early 20s, I had a customer that invited me to hear a speaker. And I sat in the back of the room because as I looked at the table that he bought and counted chairs and counted the customers that he brought, I realized that I was going to take up the space of one of his customers. So I went and sat in the back. And he came back and he said to me, "What are you doing back here?" And I told him. He said, "Bill, a good vendor is as important as a good customer." And that was one of those aha moments, you know, and I wrote that down. And it used to sit at the bottom of my business card with my old company. A good vendor is as important as a good customer. What this helps us to do, Kelly, is to sell with attitude, sell with confidence, that you're not just the next vendor, but that customer should be recognizing you as an asset. And this is something you earn. This isn't just something you say. This is something you earn through your problem solving. This is something you earn by applying the sales philosophies that we're talking about today. You know, being smart about what you do, knowledgeable about what you do, knowledgeable about what the customer does, and an all-around good salesperson. Kelly, how does that play now into number 3? Stop selling printing.
Well, again, it really, kind of building on the last 2 that we talked about, it really is about the belief that you carry within yourself that you are more than just an order taker. You know, this is about the fact that you solve problems, that you're creative, and that your solution is unique, and that your experience and the knowledge that you have is all part of what you deliver to the customer. It's all part of why they do business with you, is because you're different, because you're insightful, because you're creative, because you solve problems, because you understand what their goals are, and you understand how your solution fits into that equation. So again, it's a conversation that doesn't have anything to do with, you know, do you buy printing, I sell printing, but what are you doing now? How can I help? What kinds of problems are you having? What have you tried? Who are your customers? It's about asking really good, insightful questions that then take you down the road of being that good vendor. And again, it's all about the confidence that you carry within yourself and the fact that knowing that you solve problems differentiates you and makes it so that you're the kind of person that people want to hear from and that want to do business with.
But none of that works, Kelly, if you talk too much.
Right.
You know, none of that's going to go anywhere. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Do the math. What that means is that you've got to do more listening than talking, a lot more listening than talking. Learn how to ask open-ended questions. Read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Recognize that people like to talk. Let them. Let them. Because if you're doing your job, if you want to learn how to solve problems, you've got to find out what the problem is. If you want to be a good vendor, then you've got to be a good listener. If you want to learn to stop selling printing and earn the profitable orders, it comes down to the fact that, and this is the number one reason why people buy from you, raw sales ability. It's great that you know your product. It's great that you can kick out your speeds and feeds. But none of that matters if the client isn't first saying, here are my needs. Here are my problems. That makes such a huge difference. I tell you, this is something that you did when you were in sales, and you did a great job at it.
It's really, really hard for salespeople to kind of put their verbal skills in check. And I wrote my blog about it a few weeks ago. It was Shut Your Mouth. And it's really true. It's as harsh as it sounds. Just be a good listener and ask good questions, and everything else will fall into place.
I remember years ago I heard the answer to the question, what do most people say was their number one fault? And they said, we talk too much. Mm-hmm. We don't listen enough. Now, the next sales philosophy is this one. This is an old Mel Fisher line. Mel Fisher was a guy who knew that a Spanish ship called the Atocha, A-T-O-C-H-A, the Atocha, had gone down off the coast of Florida. And he looked and looked and looked. In fact, he looked every day for 17 years. Think about what you did 17 years ago. Think about how old you were 17 years ago. And think about getting up every single day and chasing what seems like a windmill. And every day you would get up, you would get on this boat, you'd think to yourself, it's going to happen. And so every day you'd say to your crew the same three words, today's the day. That's what Mel Fisher was known for. And he found it. He ended up finding the Atocha. And the U.S. government said, well, it's in our waters, thanks very much. And he sued the government, and he won. And today there are two museums. One is in Las Vegas. I think it's at the Bellagio. It's one of the, one of the casinos. The other one is in Key West. Mel Fisher died in 1999. And if you go to melfisher.com, you can see the whole story. It's fascinating. But this guy was about perseverance. So, Kelly, here's the thing. Our clients make sales calls all day. They hear no all day. They get voicemail all day. They get frustrated all day. The end of the day, they go home and they say, oh, my God, what am I doing? This is crazy. And every morning they've got to wake up with that philosophy, right?
It is, because then there's that day that you get that huge order, or you land that new customer, or you have that great meeting, and it's like that great golf shot that we get every once in a while. It keeps us coming back for more, because once we do it once, we know we can do it again and again and again, and that's why we get up every day and do it.
Yep, and that's why we play golf every day, too. Not every day, but when we can, just that one shot. And then finally, there's this final philosophy that Kelly suggested that I love. Kelly, tell me about this one.
Well, again, this is really a self-affirmation. This is really about saying and believing in your heart that what you do all day long has purpose and has meaning and has value, which is you have a right and a reason to pick up the phone and call these people and offer your service to them, because what you do is important. And the problems that you solve and the creativity that you bring to the table are important and valuable to any organization out there. And here's the thing, folks. You have to believe it in your heart, and you have to act as if this is true and that you really do believe it, because it is true every single day. And if you act like this, then all those other ones, they fall into place, because it's about having the confidence and the belief that you can do this and you can be a valuable resource to people. And this is how we have to conduct ourselves.
You know what's funny about this? As I look through this, we got to wrap up, so we're almost done. But as I look through all of these 6 points, there's some themes in here. Confidence.
Yep.
Listening. Well, you know what those are, Kelly? Those are fundamentals, aren't they? This is all
absolutely. Stuff,
right?
Without a doubt.
Yep. So regardless of the economic conditions, these kinds of sales philosophies will carry you through all the things we talked about. And there's lots more we could talk about, but of course this is a short attention span webinar. So we've got to move on. Kelly, thanks very much.
Thanks, Bill.